this is like literally a testimony video because we're going in. Motivational content. Overall, that's the goal, is to motivate you to be your better self. Okay? To be the person God created you to be.
Going strong, yeah, I've been moving mountains. Circle tight and ain't no way around it. Other shorties mad, I got them pouting.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to You Know the Vibes. Okay, that's probably not cute, but anyways. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to You Know the Vibes. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'm coming to you guys with some more mental health, inspirational, motivational, faith-based content. So I hope you guys are excited about hopping back on this journey. Like I told you guys before in one of my last vlogs, we're gonna be doing less vlogs. We're still gonna be doing vlogs. I'm just kind of tapping back into where I feel like my channel should have been more focused on last year. I kind of started off strong in the beginning of the year, like in February, March and stuff, with my faith-based content and my mental health testimony content. And I feel like I kind of lost myself along the way. Not really like lost myself. I was still doing like my studies and everything on my own every morning for the most part, besides like during the summer when I kind of fell off into this little depressive moment and season, which I want to tap into that too, because I want to let you all know that there are such things as going through seasons. Things aren't meant to just go up, like even roller coasters. They go up, they go down, they swivel around, you know what I'm saying? So like things aren't meant to be perfect. We have ups and downs. That's just a part of the journey. That's what makes it a journey. That's what allows us to be grateful for the high moments, because when we're at that high moment, if we only ever had high moments, we wouldn't even know what to look back on to compare it to. Like we couldn't even be grateful for being at this high that we're at if we never had the lows, if that makes sense. Just thinking back to, you know, the place I was before I got saved, which my rebirth day is coming up January the 13th. Today's January 11th when I'm recording this. So I'm just excited about all that. It's allowing me to kind of like just revisit how far I've come. And I've noticed that I started kind of falling back into my old ways over the last year. I've noticed falling back into my old ways and just not really liking that. Like, that's what God pulled me out of. Like, why am I slowly starting to like drown myself back into overworking and overthinking and just worrying? Like, that's not where we're supposed to be. You know, give that to God. Allow God to talk to you and speak to you and show you what your purpose is. You know what I'm saying? Show you what your gifts are. What are you supposed to be doing in this world? Because God's not going to have us over here slaving, overworking, overthinking, worrying, stressing. You know what I'm saying? That's not the life that He has out for us. Yes, it's going to be struggles. Yes, there's going to be hard times. You know, it even says that in the Bible. And I promise next time to come with like scripture and stuff. Like, I'm working on it. We're just now getting back to all these, and I've been doing my Bible studies and everything, and I actually have video ideas like based off my studies of what I want to talk to you guys about and how it literally relates to real life and everything. I feel like this video is kind of all over the place because I'm just getting back to this. Sit down, I have to get used to it, so I'm warming up. But yeah, anyways, like I was saying, see, I get off track, you guys. Keep me on track. I get off track, so just bring me back in so we can. I was doing good, you know, I was dropping my videos. I even talked about in my mental health testimony. If you guys have not tapped into that, that's where I kind of started this journey, my mental health series journey out, and which is where the channel is gonna more so be into. And like I said, I'm still gonna do vlogs and stuff, but it's gonna be more like self-help vlogs and like bettering yourself vlogs and things that just motivate us. Motivational content. Overall, that's the goal, is to motivate you to be your better self. Okay? To be the person God created you to be. Refocusing on your purpose and falling back into your purpose and getting back on track. Okay, you guys know I love to film, I love to vlog, I love photography. These are things that I just have a passion about, and that I enjoy doing, you know, and I feel like that was gifted into me. So I would be comfortable in front of the camera and comfortable with the camera. So I would be able to come to you guys with this type of content, if that makes sense. So this is just about falling back in your purpose and just getting back on track, refocusing and recentering your life to where you're supposed to go and not getting distracted. So although I was still doing my studies on the side for the most part last year, I did have like a 3 to 4 month block during the summer where I kind of went through what I realized after the fact was a depression. So although I wasn't crying a lot, like my past depressions have been a lot of crying, a lot of dark, I was in this season where I just felt like, even though I knew my purpose and I knew God had called me out and he put this calling on my life, and I knew it was supposed to be done and I started doing it. I don't know, it was like one day something just clicked. I guess I got triggered by something that would trigger my mood and almost just make me feel like I'm not doing something right in life. I guess that's where it starts to go. And then I slowly start to kind of plummet mentally, which I don't know if anybody's ever went through anything like that before. Just about anything in your life. You know how one thing can just set you off, but then it just kind of brings your mood down. It's about just trying to come to your mind a sense of like peace and knowing that like it's all about growth. We're just trying to grow. I'm noticing my triggers. So I'm noticing that I'm getting triggered by this, and I notice it starts to make my mood kind of plummet a little bit. And then I noticed like something I would resort to was food. So even though I was getting to like one of my smaller weights, I was like 167. I'm bringing weight into it because that's a big thing that I've struggled with all my life. Being up and down on my weight and my eating habits. Working out really isn't the hard part for me. It's the diet. And everybody knows when you lose weight, 80% is diet, 30% is working out, that's not math. 70% is diet, 30% is working out, or some people like to say 80% is diet, 20% is food. That's why I got confused, and I'm gonna blame it on that because it's two different things, okay? That people be saying. So yeah, my diet just started getting off track. I noticed I started eating out more, binge eating, and then I slowly stopped working out. This started around like May, and then it continued, it continued from May, June, July. I stopped making YouTube videos. I kind of started questioning my purpose. And I'm realizing now while I'm sitting here that maybe the reason I was feeling like that was because I had kind of got back off. Even though I talk in my vlogs, I constantly talk about God. Well, maybe not constantly, but I'm constantly thinking about God. God is on my mind 24/7. Okay, that's the thing about it. Whether you know it or not, that's just what it is. I would drop gems in my vlogs and stuff like that. And I would always speak inspirational. I would try to speak faith, and I would put that onto you guys because up until May, I was doing so from January to May, pretty much every day, 80% of the days, I was seeking God every day. Well, I was praying every day for sure. But, reading my Bible, trying to do my daily Bible readings and get into a closer relationship with God. Going to church, and stuff like that. Just getting the word of God because I'm still, new to all of it. I'm trying to read the Bible from front to back. I'm trying to learn the stories. I'm trying to learn the book. And I'm trying to learn character of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So I was doing all that, dropping all that stuff in my vlogs, but just not realizing that like maybe the reason I started to kind of doubt the YouTube was because I wasn't realizing then, but I was kind of slowly going back to my vlogs again. And I can do vlogs, but I also need to focus on my purpose. So I know this is my purpose. This is a part of my purpose because my purpose is very big. There's a lot of things that we can fulfill in our purpose. God has a purpose on our life, and there's many things we can do to fulfill the plan he has set out for us. So this is definitely a part of it. Speaking life into others. Like that's all I'm trying to do is speak life into you. This is a part of my testimony again. Like our testimony continues to go. If you've watched my mental health testimony part 1 and part 2, you saw the part about how I got to God, how God had a calling on my life and how God called me back to him, and a little bit of my past of how I got to where I was. So this is kind of what's been going on the last year. I started feeling like that, and now I'm realizing it's probably because I stopped putting in the work for my purpose. I was still doing the groundwork for me, like internally for myself, but I also know that like with doing things for myself, I can also do things with you all. I can bring you on my journey. I started getting this mindset like maybe I can't make these type of videos because I'm not where I'm supposed to be, or I'm not at the end goal. The same thing with my mental health. I thought like when I went through my mental health stuff in October of 2021, I told myself I was gonna talk about this on my YouTube channel. But I was thinking, oh, when I get over all of it, I'll talk about it. But when I got saved and I got out the mental ward or whatever, psych ward, whatever you want to call it, Baker acted, that whole movement, I got so many messages from God in that space. There was no distractions. You couldn't have phones. You couldn't have any of that. I had a conversation with God. You know what I'm saying? And he told me to do it now. Talk about your mental health stuff you're going through now, because people are dying today. You know what I'm saying? So if I can tell my testimony and I can save even just one life through that testimony, that's what I need to do. Even when I went to church, I got a word from church. That first Sunday I went to church after getting out the hospital. I went that following Sunday. And I remember I was in the hospital around Martin Luther King Day. So that's coming up. So it's just crazy because we're coming up on a year anniversary of all of this stuff. So it's just crazy how God moves and how I'm like resurfacing back to that now. But it's crazy how it kind of took a year or almost a year for me to get back here. But I'm grateful because in November, I kind of started noticing like, you need to get back on track. Like I could say, I don't know what it was in my head, but it was God obviously telling me like, you gotta get back to your purpose. You know what I'm saying? Because you will lose yourself if you're not walking in your purpose. And that's exactly what happened to me. I know that's a calling on my life. I know that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So anyways, I started getting discouraged. I started getting everything. I was binge eating. I wasn't working out. I stopped reading my Bible. I stopped praying. Like what? I wasn't even talking to God because I was ashamed because I'm overeating. Is it gluttony? I always say the word wrong, but you guys know what I'm saying. Y'all notice I will try to, even when I'm trying to read the names in the Bible, I'm going to jack them up. I'm going to jack up the places too. But I probably should like Google and see how you say it so I don't do that. Because I'm not trying to be funny or be like disrespectful. I really just can't pronounce some stuff, but I love to read. So anyways, I need to figure that out. So anyways, gluttony, that was a big sin that I was struggling with. We all struggle with our own sins. I want to touch on that too, because not all of us struggle with the same sins. So I'm not better just because, okay, I don't want to drink anymore. Even though it's not a sin to drink, it's a sin to get drunk. So I stopped getting drunk last year when I got saved. I had a drink probably a number of 7 or 8 times, maybe 9 out of the whole year last year. Didn't get drunk, never got drunk. But a lot of people struggle with drinking. A lot of people struggle with smoking. A lot of people struggle with these things. And it's like, but I struggle with food. That was my struggle. That was my struggle sin. My sin struggle. That was my sin struggle, okay? Everybody has their sin struggle. Well, I don't say everybody, but I feel like 80% of people are struggling with the sin. They have one at the top of the list that they're dealing with. I was able to cut out a lot of other sins that I was doing, but that was one of my main struggles. So you shouldn't, that's another thing I'm gonna touch on. You shouldn't point out somebody else's sin. Like, you can speak to a friend in a loving way, like, hey, I don't think you should do this because, this is our temple, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. But also, it would be nice if you kind of be like, I'm going through this, so they know that you're human and you got your own stuff. Maybe y'all can help each other out. You know what I'm saying? Because they might not be struggling the same thing that you're struggling in. But that's another thing when I talked about on my Instagram reel, relationships and my shorts. Check out my shorts because I'm gonna be doing prayer reminders. You probably already seen 1 or 2 by now, but God will place certain people in your life for you to help them. So you can help people in that way, and like you guys can help each other out with your sin that you struggle with, and build each other up and pull each other out of that. Also with prayer, talking to God, asking God to deliver you from all that. All of this as well. You know what I'm saying? That's the obvious thing. You need to be talking to God about anything you need help with and you want him to pull you out of, because he can do it. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be the one to do it. But he also places people in your life to help you as well, to guide you and hold your hand physically. You know what I'm saying? And be able to actually give you those audible words and talk to you about certain things. This has ended up being a longer video than I thought, but we still gonna drop it, okay? So I fell into all this sin. I was doing other sins too, like just a lot of stuff I shouldn't have been doing, basically. I ain't gonna get into details, but I fell back into sin. That's what it was. And I felt shameful, But I almost felt like, dang, well, I've already done this and I've already done that. Like, God's probably just like, girl, I did all this for you. I pulled you out of depression. I pulled you out of the anxiety. I showed you the life you were living wasn't the life you were supposed to be living, but you're still doing, like, now you're falling back. Like, this is what you do. So I felt shame. But that's not the thoughts of God. Like, God's not shaming us. You might feel conviction for things you do, and that's God, because he will convict you. But they'll let you know that your spirit's growing and you're growing in the spirit and you're doing what you're supposed to do. But God's not going to condemn you, and he's not going to have you feel shame. That's just the man downstairs. So you got to learn to throw that out and just pick up your cross and keep going, and know that, like, there will be better days. We're going to have mistakes. We're going to have hiccups. And like I told you guys before, that's a part of the testimony. So that's okay. You know, just don't keep going. Don't have premeditated sin. Like, I'm going to do this because God's going to forgive me anyway. Okay, that's not the attitude we should be having. Like, that's not it. The attitude you should have is, I'm trying my best, I'm doing my best, and I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to sin, because God is going to lead me out of any temptation that I might be tempted with, of any type of sin. Pray on it, and you have two choices. You can go this way, or you can go this way. And I pray to God you go this way. Just like they have the little things, little animations, the little red devil with the little horns or whatever. And it's always yourself, but you're just dressed up in a different character. And you have the angel over here. You know what I'm saying? It's low-key like a battle like that in your head, because you have your spirit and you have your flesh. So that's something too. But you have a route. You have paths. Just because you go on the wrong path sometimes doesn't mean God's not going to slap you on your hand, get you back over here. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be there, or he's gonna place people in your life to be there for you to get back on the path. I fell back into that. I was just beating myself up about it. I mean, I had stopped working. I had stopped, you know, like, I would still work because I have to work to pay my bills, but I was only doing it like enough to get by. You know what I'm saying? Not giving my all. I was not giving anything. I was binge watching TV, binge eating food, just getting food, just go sit down and watch a show. I definitely fell into like watching TV and just being zoned into that when I really need to be reading my Bible, or I really need to be praying. But I was idolizing other things, which that's another thing we're going to talk about on this channel, is idolizing things that you don't know that you're thinking of or you have as an idol. But if you're putting it and you're doing it more than you're praying to God, talking to God, which is praying to God, reading your Bible, or, you know, maybe watching things that have to do about faith-based stuff or bettering your relationship with God, if you're putting those things, doing those things more in the place of God, they might be an idol. So you might want to do a little heart check, a little prayer check, talk to God about that. I can't sit here and tell you what is and what isn't, but God can. You know what I'm saying? If you ask him, he will talk to you. He will convict you. And sometimes he won't talk in an audible voice. A lot of people have heard the audible voice of God, but it will be thoughts. And to decipher what's from God and what isn't, you gotta be in your word. Because you learn about the character of God. You learn about the character of Jesus. You learn about the spirit. And you learn about these things. That way you know whenever you get thoughts in your head, you know where those thoughts are coming from. You know what I'm saying? You can say, oh, this thought is from God. Oh, this thought is from myself. Or this thought is from the enemy. Because I feel like the enemy will place things in your head too. A lot of that will be doubt. You know what I'm saying? The doubt or the very negative, dark stuff is definitely from the enemy. I'm basically going to tell you guys how I kind of got back to God. This is like literally a testimony video because we're going in. But anyways, I got back to God because I remember I have two nieces. They're 2 weeks apart, and their birthday party was on the same weekend. It was on a Saturday and Sunday. I had moved, so I wasn't able to go to church as much. That also, we gonna talk about that too. These are all video topics that I want to go in on. I was going to church every Sunday ever since I got saved. Church for me is vital for my personal journey. It is food to my spirit, my soul, my everything. So I fell off from going to church because I moved. So I said I was going to travel the hour to go back and forth to church, but I ended up not even doing it. I was just at first I was really busy trying to just get in order of moving and stuff. But then I was like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Then I started falling into the sin. I was still doing my Bible studies, but all of a sudden I started falling into sin. And then that's when I felt the shame and I was falling into the depression. So then I wasn't going to church anymore. And it kind of just all coincided together. And I wasn't getting that food in my spirit anymore. Anyways, I got cornered to go to church because I had to drive an hour to go to my niece's birthday parties. One was on Saturday, one was on Sunday. I went to church that Sunday, and I wanted to go to church. I just wasn't making the right steps and putting in enough effort to go. So that's it. That's the truth. And when I finally went to church, though, when I tell you I finally went to church, when I tell you they had a word for me, they had a word for me talking about, which I didn't even know it then, but he was just talking about, like, you know, doing something in your purpose and, you know, not having that fear and just stepping out and doing what you're supposed to do, especially if you already know it. You've been putting it on the back burner. The word was for me. It was for plenty of people, but it was definitely, I was one of those people it was for. At the end, he was a guest preacher at that. Like, he didn't even know me. You know what I'm saying? He came up right on to me. He came right up to me. We, at the end of prayer, we were all standing up. We were praying, about to close out. And he started speaking in tongues just a little bit while he's walking up to me. And he had a message for me, and, you know, this is from God. He said, sweetheart, you don't know who to trust. You don't know what to trust. And he wasn't going to speak on my personal situation, but I knew exactly what he was talking about. Because I started to kind of float again, and I wasn't focused on Jesus anymore. And I kept saying, like, dang, like, what am I even doing this for? My YouTube channels, like, the numbers are low. Things just ain't working out how they're supposed to be. Like, I don't think people like my content. Not as many people watching my channel no more. Like, I thought this was supposed to be my purpose and my main thing that I want to do. There's other things that I want to do and I have, you know, planned for myself. But that was definitely something I was putting a lot of energy into. So I was really down about that. He's like, you don't know what to trust. You don't know who to trust. And then he was like, you've been leaning on this and you've been leaning on that. He was like, but who you can trust is Jesus. And then he was like, you know, the one above it all. And he said some other words. I can't remember exactly, but I can go back to it on the YouTube because they record everything and it's on the recording for my church. It's just crazy. And that centered me because it's like, and he didn't go up to anybody talking to anybody else with the prophetic message that day anyway. I'm sure he does it all the time. But it's like, and that wasn't the first time that I've had somebody come up to me. Sometimes people in the congregation, you know, in the body of the church will come up to me during praise and worship or during prayer. And I would break down, you know, I'd be emotional at church because my spirit, that's just how I am. And I would feel the spirit so strong. And to hear from God is just different. You know, I know a lot of people have their own opinions about that and they feel like some things aren't God. That's not God and you can't believe that and da-da-da-da. But if it's like, if it sounds like God, like if it's the character of God, you know what I'm saying? Like he didn't say anything out of character of what God would say. So it's like, why would I not believe that? You know, like I'm a believer and I'm not gonna doubt it. That just, it put me back on track. It recentered me. I remember either that month or the next month, I just said a prayer like, you know, God, get me back on track, please. You know, I want to get back to working out. I want to get back to eating healthy. And, you know, one morning I woke up after praying for that for like a week or a few days. I can't remember. I woke up and I had the determination, I had the motivation, I had the drive to get back to myself and get back to what I was doing. I got back in my Bible studies. It took me a month. I was working out for a month and I was still eating bad. I was still eating bad for the month the first month I started back working out was August. By month 2 of me working out and everything in September, I finally cut out the bad eating habits. And I started eating better and, you know, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. And then I wanted to find a church. And I know I saw my friend talking about a church. No, I saw my friend posting that she was going to church a lot. And I meant to reach out to her. Shout out to Kate if you're watching this, girl, because thank you, okay? Because she might not know this, but I was literally saying to myself, I would see on Facebook her going to church. I was like, oh, Kate's going to church. That's awesome. I was like, you know, now that I live here, I was like, you know, I should ask her if I can go to church with her. But this was more so like in my darker moments when I was trying to come up out of it. And then I remember, and then she wrote me on Facebook. She wrote me on Messenger. She saw some trails that I was at that we went to together. So she knew I was back in the city, I guess, or she was asking. She was like, do you live back in so-and-so? And I didn't see it because I barely checked my messages on there. But then she ended up texting me. She was like, you know, you're lucky I know this number because you've had it since the 8th grade. I've had it since the 3rd grade, but that's when we met the 8th grade. She was asking me if I live back in the city. And then I was like, yeah, I do. And the first thing she asked me was, do you want to go to church with me? And I knew that was God. And I literally am so emotional for some reason. I'm about to cry. I'm not gonna cry, but I knew that was God, bro. Because I was like, I don't even pray like, God, please allow Kate to ask me to go to church. It's not like I pray for that, but God knows your heart, man. He knows what you need, you know, and he knows his plans for you. And I'm gonna talk about another video about more of this, but I don't want this video to be too long. It's already about to be like 30-something minutes, or I might break it up. Just her saying that, like, and then she was raving about the kids program, because that's something I'm big on. They have different kids. It's not just one big kids church. It's like babies, and then like, you know, another age group, teens, and they have like a whole community. It's amazing, you know, and that's big for me, because, you know, I want to grow my child up to, I want to raise my child in Christ. You know, I want her to know that she can have a relationship with God, like he's there, you know, because I wasn't really raised like that. I knew who God was. I believed in God. I didn't really know who God was. I knew there's a God, and you know, God is God. He's the creator, and that's just what it was. That's pretty much all I knew. And you could pray. Yeah, I knew there was a God. I knew I needed to pray, and that's pretty much it. But I didn't pray pretty much throughout my whole life and all that. So I'm trying to teach my daughter that stuff now, so you won't be 27 and kind of learning everything or relearning it, because I was young when I once was taught it and then I forgot. And it never stuck with me. So I just want to grow up into that. I want her to grow up into that and know that she can have a relationship with God, Jesus, and have the Holy Spirit and all that good. That's how I started going back to church. That's where I found the church that I'm at now. I'll tell you guys the whole testimony of me getting baptized, and how, you know, I was supposed to get baptized at my old church, but stuff kept coming up. I never could get baptized. It's almost like it seemed like the enemy was just kept trying to ruin everything for me. That's how I feel. I be blaming everything on the enemy. I know I probably shouldn't do that, but I do. It's a problem. I need to deal with, clearly. Yeah, so this video went a totally different direction, I think, than what I planned for it to go. But that's okay, because God gave me this gift. I know I love to talk a lot. Like, I'm shy at first, but then I love to talk when I get to know you. And I will talk to myself all day long. So I feel like that is honestly a gift in itself, to be able to do this, because I have a lot to talk about. I have a lot to say, but I know I gotta save it for another video too. All right, guys, so I think that is gonna close up this video. I don't want to be entirely too long, but that's kind of like us just bringing up the intro of how I'm getting back to my purpose, and how we should all kind of make sure we do a heart check and pray on our purpose, and maybe make sure life is not like getting too busy for us to forget what God has set out for us to do, or what God has planned for us to do in our season and in our life journey, and what he's called us to do. So I know life gets busy and we get distracted, and we start to maybe think other things are more important than what they really are. Just make sure you're not getting too distracted. Make sure you're talking to God often about your purpose. I really do believe that back in November and December, he was starting to kind of like change my heart and remind me back where I was supposed to be. It's funny because I literally got baptized on the 27th of November. If you haven't watched my baptism video, I will go ahead and make a pop-up or something like that about, so you can watch the baptism video. But maybe it happened around like the weeks coming up to my baptism. I was really emotional. I was my spirit was very fragile, you know, and I was going through a lot. I don't know if he was changing me then again, or talking to me day by day and me not really realizing it, but slowly letting me know that like, you're kind of falling. Not that I was doing bad. Like, when I got back to myself, like I told you guys, when I recentered back in like August, September, I started doing a lot better and getting back on my Bible studies and doing all that. But I almost just felt like I hear him telling me like, you are doing all this, and I was vlogging, I was talking to you guys about it, but like, keep doing your videos where you're dropping the information to them, and you're bringing them on the journey with you, and maybe bringing them with you on your Bible studies, or these little words that I sometimes get when I'm working out. I'll get like these visions, or these like just different things I feel like I hear God telling me, you know, that could help you guys too. You know, it's not just for me. Like, he's putting it in my head, but I have a platform. So it's like, I need to be putting this out on my platform as well, just so you guys can know like what I'm hearing. Because the only things I'm hearing that I feel like is from God is good. It's motivational. It's realigning. It's everything you need. So basically, this is just for falling back into your purpose, making sure you're doing everything you can do. And I'm going to do a separate video for things you can do to get closer to God, things I'm doing to get closer to God, things you can do to better yourself, healthy habits. And I have a lot of video ideas. So just be ready for these sit downs and these informationals. Talk to God, pray to God about your purpose, and just do a heart check and make sure you have not started to fall out of your purpose or started to walk out of the light of your purpose, if that makes sense. Just recenter yourself on God and just have a moment. You know, he might not tell you right away, but I feel like if it has something to do with your purpose, he's gonna go ahead and let you know. You know what I'm saying? So he's not gonna have you waiting on that answer, I don't think. But then again, I'm not God, so I don't know. But just talk to him and listen. That's also what I'm working on, is when I'm praying, sitting down and just allowing silence to rest so I can hear my thoughts, should be able to hear or discern God's voice, so I can know, you know what I'm saying, that God is talking to me, so I can hear back from him. You're having a conversation. It shouldn't just be a one-way street. But I'm gonna close this up. My camera's overheating. I love you guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And please make sure you share the videos too, okay? Because you could help somebody out. You know, we're trying to realign people with their purpose today. So yeah, put the post bell notifications on too. I love you guys, and thank you for supporting me. You know, I hope you're excited about going back down this road with me. And I love you guys. I hope you get out there, go be great, be blessed, and have an amazing day today. Okay?
But I don't really care nothing about it. I do it. Nah, I ain't new to this. Got everybody asking questions. They like who this is. And baby, I already know.